Hello everyone, hope your preparations are going well. So without any further ado, let's begin with our new topic of grammar, that is adjectives. Now, so what is an adjective? An adjective is a word that describes a noun or pronoun or adds to its meaning. So basically an adjective is a word used to add something to the meaning of a noun by describing or pointing out the person, animal, place or thing by telling the number or quantity or by asking questions about it. So let us understand with the help of an example. So sentence 1, Sita is a clever girl. So in sentence 1, clever shows what kind of girl Sita is, or in other words, clever describes the girl Sita. Similarly, let us look at another example. Delhi is a big city. So the adjective big is used just before the noun city as a description, or you can say characteristics or attribute of the city. Next sentence, the lazy boy was punished. So the adjective lazy is used along with the noun boy as an attribute. Moving on. Now, kinds of adjectives. Now, adjective of quality. It is also known as descriptive adjective. It basically describes the kind or characteristic of a person, or you can say quality of a person or thing. So, little, enough, some, all. So, these are all your adjective of quality. For example, he is an honest man. So, honest is your adjective over here. So, the adjective honest shows what kind of person he is. Another example, Bangalore is a large city. Moving on, adjectives of quantity. So, they basically shows how much of a thing is meant. For example, give me some water. He has little intelligence. He did not eat any rice, and so on. Now, adjective of number. So, they indicate how many person or things are meant, or in what order a person or thing stands. They are of three kinds: definite numeral adjectives. So, the first one is definite numeral adjective. So, they indicate an exact number 1, 2, 3 and so on. These are your cardinals, and first, second, third and so on, these are called your ordinals. So, a cardinal basically denotes how many, and an ordinal denotes the order of things in a series. For example, two birds are sitting there. He is the second man in command, and so on. Next, second one is indefinite numeral adjective. It do not indicate an exact number. For example, few, some, any, certain, no, all, several and so on. For example, there are many rooms available in the hotel. Distributive numeral adjectives. They refer to each single person or things in a group. For example, each, every, either, neither and so on. For example, every soldier should be ready to fight for his country. Now, next, interrogative adjectives. They are used with nouns to ask questions. Which, what, whose, etc. are your interrogative adjectives. For example, whose son is he? Which book shall you buy? Now, next, demonstrative adjectives. Demonstrative adjectives indicate which person or thing is meant. For example, this, that, these, those and so on. For example, these mangoes are sour. Bring that chair. Those mountains are far away. So, demonstrative adjectives basically answer the question which. Now, moving on, this and these is used when the person or thing is near in time and placed to the speaker. that is close at hand, whereas that and those refers to what is over there, farther away or more remote. So, keep this in mind, it is very important. This is used for near and singular, these is used for near and plural, that is used for far and singular, those is used for far and plural. Now, moving on, exclamatory adjectives. The word what is used as an exclamatory adjective also. For example, what a story, what an idea, what a blessing, and so on. Now, next topic is formation of adjectives. So, many adjectives are formed from nouns. For example, let us say courage. Courage is a noun and the adjective formed from it is courageous. Similarly, next is trouble. So, the adjective formed from it is troublesome, fool, foolish, gold, golden, laugh, laughable, glory, glorious, and so on. Next, some adjectives are formed from verbs. For example, again tire, talk, help, move, play. So, these are all your verbs. So, the adjectives formed from it are tire, tireless, talk, talkative, help, helpful, move, movable, play, playful. Moving on, some adjectives are formed from other adjectives. For example, black, blackish, three, threefold, whole, wholesome, sick, sickly, white, whitish, tragic, tragical. So, these are all your adjectives. Moving on, next topic, comparison of adjectives. Adjectives change in form to show comparison. They are called the 3 degree of comparison. For example, Ram's mango is sweet, Hari's mango is sweeter than Ram's, Govind's mango is the sweetest of all. So, the adjective sweet is said to be in the positive degree. The positive degree of an adjective is the adjective in its simple form. It is used when no comparison is made. Next, the adjective sweeter is said to be in the comparative degree. Comparative degree denotes a higher degree than the positive degree. It is used when two things are compared. Next, the adjective sweetest is said to be in the superlative degree. Superlative degree denotes the highest degree. It is used when more than two things are compared. So, moving on, formation of comparative and superlative. So, most adjectives of one syllable and some of two form the comparative by adding er and the superlative by adding est to the positive. So, in comparative er is added and in to form superlative est is added. For example, small, so er is added to small to form the comparative and est is added to small to form the superlative. Similarly, strong, stronger, strongest, bright, brighter, brightest, clean, cleaner, cleanest, cold, colder, coldest, rich, richer, richest, and so on. So, next, when the positive ends in e, only r is added to form comparative and st is added to form superlative. For example, large, so it is ending in e. So, in order to form the comparative, we will only add r to it, hence the comparative would be larger, and st is added to large to form the superlative. So, it would be large, larger, largest. Similarly, another example, fine, finer, finest, wise, wiser, wisest. Now, next, when the positive ends in y and is preceded by a consonant. Now, what is a consonant? A, E, I, O, U, these are all your vowels, and the remaining alphabets are your consonants, right. So, when the positive ends in Y and it is preceded by a consonant, Y is changed into I before adding ER and EST to form comparative and superlative respectively. For example, heavy, so we have changed Y into I and then added ER in front of it to form the comparative. Similarly, again we have changed Y into I and added EST to form the superlative. Hence, the final result would be heavy, heavier, heaviest. Similarly, easy, easier, easiest, happy, happier, happiest, and so on. Now, next, most adjectives of more than 2 syllables and many with 2 form the comparative by adding more before the positive and form the superlative by adding most before the positive. So, in superlative most is added and in comparative more is added. For example, beautiful, more beautiful, most beautiful, difficult, more difficult, most difficult, important, more important and most important, so on. Now, similarly next, intelligent, more intelligent, and in superlative it is most intelligent. Now, next, some adjectives are compared irregularly, that is their comparative and superlative are not formed from the positive. For example, good or well, so its comparative would be better and superlative best. Bad or evil or ill, so its comparative would be worse and superlative worst. Next, late, so late has 2 comparative and 2 superlative degrees. So, the first one is late, later, latest, and the second one is late, latter and last, and both of them have different meanings. We will discuss it later. Now, moving on, when a comparison is made by means of a comparative adjective followed by than, the thing that is compared must always be excluded from the thing or group of things with which it is compared. For example, iron is more useful than any metal. So, in the term any metal, iron is also included. Therefore, the sentence would mean that iron is more important than iron itself, since iron is itself a metal. Hence, it is incorrect. So, the correct sentence would be iron is more useful than any other metal. Note, here the use of other is very important to make the sentence correct. Now, moving on, when a comparison is made by means of a superlative adjective, the thing that is compared is to be included in the things or group of things with which it is compared. For example, the Ganga is the holiest of all other rivers. So, this sentence would be totally wrong. The correct sentence would be the Ganga is the holiest of all rivers. Similarly, another example, iron is the most useful of all metals. Now, moving on, some adjectives do not admit any comparisons because their meaning is already superlative. They are universe, unique, extreme, round, square, perfect, full, whole, etc. So, for example, if a glass is full, that means it is already completely filled to its capacity. Hence, a sentence saying the glass is more full or less full would be incorrect. Similarly, a thing cannot be more square or more round than it is already, and so on. Now, next, comparative forms ending in or. There are 12 words in the comparative form borrowed from Latin. They all end in or. Out of them, the following 5 have lost their comparative meaning and are used as positive adjectives. these adjectives neither take than nor to after them. They are interior, exterior, ulterior, major and minor. For example, I have no ulterior motive in this work. In the accident, he got minor injuries and so on. Now, the remaining 7 have retained the comparative form, but unlike comparative construction, they are followed by to instead of than. So, it is very important, keep this in mind. They are inferior, superior, junior, senior, anterior, posterior, prior. For example, he is senior to me by 6 years. So, instead of to, if the sentence had than over here, so the sentence would be incorrect. He is senior to me. The painting is inferior to that one. Moving on. Now, the correct use of some adjectives, some and any. To express quantity or degree, some is used in affirmative sentences and any in negative or interrogative sentence. So, any is used for negative. For example, I have some money. So, it is conveying a positive sense. I will buy some mangoes. Now, next, I have not got any bread. So, now this sentence is conveying a negative sense. I will not buy any mangoes. Again, negative. But some is used in questions which really commands or offers requests or which expects the answers yes. For example, could you lend me some money? Next, will you have some ice cream? Now, but any can be used after if in affirmative sentences. For example, if you need any money, I will help you. Next sentence, if you need any money, I can lend you some. Now, next, either and neither. Either has two meanings, one or the other of two and the second each of two. You may take either side in the game. On either side of the road was a footpath. Neither is negative of either. So, neither basically means not one and not the other of the two. For example, neither of you can go. Moving on, each and every. Each is used when speaking of two or more things and when the number in the group is limited and definite, whereas every is used for more than two and when the number is indefinite. So, keep this in mind. Each is used when the number is definite, whereas every is used when the number is indefinite. Now, for example, it rained every day during my holidays. I was away 10 days and it rained each day. Every player did his best for the team. Buses leave every 10 minutes and so on. Each directs attention to the individuals forming any group, whereas every to the total group, whereas each to the individuals. For example, every boy in the class went on a picnic. So, it means all the boys or the whole class went on a picnic. Now, next, each one of these chairs is broken. Every is used with abstract nouns. For example, you have every reason to be happy. Now, moving on, elder and eldest. So, elder basically means of earlier birth. So, elder and eldest are applied to persons only, not to animals or things, and are now used in speaking of members of the same family. So, keep this in mind, it is used for members of the same family. And one more important thing, than is not used after elder. So, for example, John is my eldest brother. He was the elder of the two sons of Ram. Now, next, older and oldest. So, older means of greater age, having existed longer. So, older and oldest are applied to both persons and things. For example, this building is older than the other. Next, this is the oldest temple in Kolkata. Mohan is the oldest boy in the class, and so on. So, that's it for today. We will continue further in the next lecture. Thank you.